What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the SO Show. The Pittsburgh Steelers continue to own Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is now 1-4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar Jackson last win versus the Steelers was back in 2019. That's 6 years ago. Lamar Jackson ain't beat the Steelers in 6 years. That was his last win, 2019. Now, half of that has to do with COVID and everything that was going on back then, and then the other half was because Lamar got hurt a couple times too. And I think the other two games that he missed was because Lamar and them, they had the first seed, so it wasn't no reason for him to even play, the last game versus them. But still, nonetheless, Lamar is now 1-4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers beat the Ravens 18-16. It was a defensive game, which we already knew that going into it, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I honestly, offensive wise, this was a terrible game by both sides, and especially for the Ravens. Russell Wilson threw for 205 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He went 23 of 36. George Pickens had 8 catches, 89 yards. It was a real good game by him. George Pickens was putting that offense on his back. And he was pretty much he was the only one out there that was doing stuff. Chris Boswell. Let's round of applause for Chris Boswell, man. Chris Boswell scored all of the Steelers 18 points. He made 6 field goals. He went 6 for 6. The reason why they won this game was because of Chris Boswell. But shout out to Chris Boswell, man. Lamar Jackson, he threw for 207 yards. 1 interception, 1 touchdown. He only completed 16 passes. He threw the ball 33 times and only completed 16 passes. I'm gonna get to that. Derrick Henry ran for 65 yards and a touchdown. Zay Flowers had only 2 catches for 39 yards, but he had a touchdown. Lamar Jackson, I'm not gonna put the blame on him at all for this loss. This was not on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson did the best that he could throughout this whole game. He was just getting harassed by T.J. Watt. He was getting harassed by Patrick Queen. He was getting harassed by Minkah Fitzpatrick. Like, that defensive line did not hold. They didn't give Lamar any room to breathe at all. Like, it's like as soon as Lamar snapped that ball, he was in panic mode. He was just running around, juking around. Like, he couldn't do nothing. Like, he literally couldn't do anything. This Steelers defense was just in his face. That D-line was just in his face throughout the whole entire game. And a lot of it had to do with the crazy thing about it is the Ravens offensive line only gave up 2 sacks. You would be surprised by that. I was surprised by that because if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson's footwork and his ability, his great God-given ability to run around and evade all the defenders and everything, if he didn't have any of that in his arsenal and in his bag, he'd have got sacked way more than Lamar would have got sacked at least 8 times throughout this whole game if he didn't have his feet and he didn't have those legs, honestly. Because if TJ Watt only had a sack. TJ Watt only had a sack in this whole entire game. But he was just a gnat pretty much throughout the whole game. So it was like his TJ Watt's performance is not gonna show in the stat line, in the stat sheet at all. Because TJ Watt was he was all over Lamar Jackson. But because Lamar is just so good with his feet, he couldn't get sacked. He couldn't get touched. But nonetheless, again, this was a defensive battle game. Derrick Henry fumbled the second play of the game. He fumbled the second play of the game. You got Justin Tucker missing 2 field goals in 1 quarter. He missed a 47-yarder and he missed a 50-yarder. Patrick Queen forced a fumble on Isaiah Likely. So, yeah, Marlon Humphrey got an interception. He intercepted Russell Wilson when Wilson actually the Steelers was marching down the field late in the 4th quarter, and they were up 15-10 in the 4th quarter. But for some odd reason, Russell Wilson just decided to force a thrown ball into the red zone, and he just threw it up, and Marlon Humphrey came down with it. And to be Russell Wilson better be happy that that didn't bite him in the butt, because honestly, that was just stupid of him. I'm not gonna lie, that was just terrible. I mean, come on, y'all up. Your team is up by 5 points. Y'all up by a touchdown. It's 15-10. And it's the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already in field goal range. You don't have to force anything, mind you. It was third down. Yeah, it was third. I think it was third down in the red zone, and the Steelers was looking to score, and he just forced the ball up in the air, and Marlon Humphrey grabbed the interception off of that. And off the next drive after that, you would think that Lamar and the Ravens had all the momentum in the world after that. Now they did have some type of momentum in the first couple of plays, but as soon as they got out of they back of their own end zone, Lamar ended up throwing an interception. Now this interception was not Lamar's fault at all. Lamar threw a great ball, and Justin Hill caught the ball. The ball was in his hands. He came down with it, but somehow, some way, Peyton Willis of the Steelers ended up snatching the ball, just ripping the ball from Justin Hill, and that gave the ball right back to the Steelers. And yeah, that ended off with a Chris Boswell field goal with three and a half minutes left. Again, the Steelers could not. The Steelers offense did not play a bad game. They didn't play a terrible game. They just couldn't finish. Like, they were marching. It was a lot of instances throughout this whole game where the Steelers were marching down the field. They were completing plays. But the thing with the Ravens is they didn't give up so easily. They will give up a big play here and there, but when they got tight in the red zone or when it really mattered, the Ravens secondary was just too much for those receivers. And it showed on the stat line because, again, George Pickens was the only receiver out there that was doing anything. The run game was already dead from the jump. So, yeah, the Ravens, the secondary defense, they stepped up a lot, and they really carried, the backs of their offense, Lamar was just, they was just struggling. The whole offense was just struggling the whole game. So Lamar ends up throwing an interception late in the fourth quarter. The Steelers, again, they get the ball right back off of that turnover, and somehow, some way, they just can't finish the drive. They can't finish scoring. Like, they couldn't score throughout the whole game. So they ended up settling for a field goal. Chris Boswell makes a sixth field goal of the game, and he made it 18-10 in the fourth quarter with 3.5 minutes left. So now, Ravens get the ball back. Lamar marches down the field. He's throwing dots. They marching down the field, and Lamar ended up throwing a touchdown pass to Zay Flowers late in the fourth quarter, and that made it 16-18. So now the Ravens are down by 2 points. Of course, after that touchdown, they go for the 2-point conversion, but Lamar ends up getting rushed out of the pocket, and they failed the 2-point. So now it stays 16-18. Now with four in the fourth quarter, with a minute left on the clock, the Steelers end up, at this point, the Steelers just want to run the ball out. They want to run the timeout, So, but it actually gets interesting because on second down, Justin Fields ended up getting subbed into the game. And basically, with Justin Fields, with his legs and his, 66'3", 220, 230 or whatever. So, of course, they're going to they want Justin Fields out on the outside. So that's exactly what they end up doing. Justin Fields do a quarterback keep. He runs a sweep to the left, and he ended up sliding way too early for the first down. If Justin Fields would have kept the ball, if he'd have ran like another yard or so, it would have been a clear first down. But because he slid too early, he ended up being short, and that made it 3rd and 1. But the Steelers ended up getting a third down conversion. They moved the chains. They gained the first down, and that was basically ball game after that. But again, this was a very defensive This was a defensive game. This was a battle. It was just a poor offensive night for the Ravens, especially because they just been scoring so much throughout this whole season, and with that run game with the Derrick Henry and Lamar combo, and hurting everybody with his feet, and that run game, and the play action pass, it just didn't work tonight. It just didn't work today, and it was clear. Now again, the Ravens they went on third down conversions. They were 4 for 11. The Steelers was 4 for 16 on third downs. Again, the Ravens only gave up 2 sacks, which was again surprising because again Lamar was just running for his life throughout the whole game, and he was just making stuff out of nothing. Some of the receivers couldn't even catch the ball. Zay Flowers had a couple drops. Um, I think Aguilar, I think he had a couple drops too. But again, Steelers gave up 4 sacks. Penalties. Ravens had 12 penalties throughout this whole game, and Steelers was they were stacking a couple of them up too. They had 7, so it was just a real defensive battle this game, which we could know that to we all knew that coming into this game it was going to be a defensive battle. Brave coming from the Ravens side of things, and with Lamar and Derrick Henry and the speedy Zay Flowers, I just thought more points were going to be scored on this board, and the fact that the Steelers won this game just by kicking field goals. That I don't know. I don't know if I want to, just give a round of applause to the defense, to the Steelers defense, for like stopping and containing Lamar and shutting him down, shutting that whole offensive side of the ball down, or do I want to say that the Steelers offense is just sorry because y'all didn't put up not one touchdown this whole game and y'all still ended up winning. So I just don't. I don't know how Mike Tomlin do it. But he do it. I don't know, but nonetheless, the Steelers are 8-2 now. They are first in the AFC North. They fall to 8-2. I mean, they are now 8-2, and the Ravens are 7-4. They got dropped down the second seed in the AFC North. And yeah, again, this is a great defensive game. And y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think of how this game turned out. Do y'all think the Steelers did a great job, shutting down Lamar? Was it Lamar's fault? The reason why they lost? Was it Lamar's receivers' fault? Like, what was the story of this game? Y'all let me know in the comments. But thank y'all for watching, and that's it for the SO show. And